In 1950, a learned lunchtime conversation set the stage for decades of astronomical exploration. Physicist Enrico Fermi submitted to his colleagues around the table a couple contentions, summarized as follows. The galaxy is very old and very large, with hundreds of billions of stars and likely even more habitable planets. That means there should be more than enough time for advanced civilizations to develop and flourish across the galaxy. So where are they? This simple, yet powerful argument became known as the Fermi paradox, and it still boggles many sage minds today. Aliens should be common, yet there is no convincing evidence that they exist. The zoo hypothesis, proposed by the MIT radio astronomer John A. Ball in 1973, says that aliens may be avoiding contact with us on purpose, so as not to interfere with our evolution and the development of our societies. The human civilization could be essentially living in a zoo or a space wildlife sanctuary where others populating the cosmos dare not go. By staying clear of us, they avoid interplanetary contamination. There may be two reasons for this theory. Perhaps the aliens are waiting for us to reach a certain technological or moral point before they will talk to us. Or they may be simply trying to protect us and themselves. Or there might be some rules that are followed by peoples living in different planets. That might be called a universal law. According to the gain bottleneck hypothesis, life needs particular environmental conditions to develop, and they are not so common that because a planet has to be actually inhabited for it to be habitable, because organisms change the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. A situation emerges, no life without habitability, no habitability without life. There may be a very less possibility for a planet to be habitable. So different conditions are necessary for life. A planet need to evolve thousands of years to be habitable. Basic probability asserts that alien life must exist. Since we haven't made contact yet, one theory goes, there must be something stopping us from interstellar travel, or at least stopping us from communicating with other alien species. This barrier is known as the Reed filter, and it is a force or event that stops a civilization from getting to the aforementioned point of interstellar travel or communication. If the theory holds true, there are primary reasons that we haven't made contact, because societies kill themselves off before they reach a state advanced enough to explore the stars, or interstellar travel is simply not possible on a technological scale. Another hypothesis asserts that alien civilizations certainly exist, but they are simply inactive. That the estivation hypothesis, it refers to an organism's state of prolonged inactivity, similar to a bear hibernating or a frog that buries itself in sand during hot weather, which was put forth by researchers from Oxford Future of Humanity Institute and the Astronomical Observatory of Belgrade. The theory, published in a paper in the Journal of the British Interplanetary Society in 2017, states that aliens may be hibernating until the environmental conditions are just right to become active and build their super society. The researchers argue that the laws of thermodynamics directly limit computation, as computing technologies need to be cooled in order to function. This makes it exceedingly difficult to create advanced technologies, as keeping them cool at scale quickly becomes prohibitively difficult. So the aliens are falling into a dormant until, to be blunt, the universe cools. In 2015, after nearly a decade in transit, NASA New Horizons spacecraft became the first to do a close fly over Pluto. It offered humanity its first look at its icy surface and raised questions about the possibility of subsurface oceans of water, and lots of methane and nitrogen. These questions put Pluto on a short but growing list of worlds with buried oceans trapped under a thick crust of ice and rock. Those oceans figure prominently into another theory of where life might be lurking, since buried oceans form a much more stable ecosystem than flowing surface streams. Changes such as altering tides and dissipation take place over a longer time period. A hard outer shell protects hypothetical life in the oceans from a harsh climate, and a lethal mix of gases on the surface. No natural activities such volcano eruption or solar flare will not harm them. Any intelligent alien life that forms in these deep oceans would have to overcome a big hurdle to reach inhabitants of other worlds, drilling through that thick, protective crust. All that work would only get them to the surface. Sending signals to other planets become even more unlikely. Another possibility is that intelligent life has arisen but lacks the technology to communicate with us. We often forget that it's only the last 100 years or so we've had the technology to send and receive signals into and from space, and an intelligent society that has not yet reached this phase would be highly difficult or impossible to detect with current methods. We regard ourselves as an intelligent species but lack the technology to reach planets in our own solar system, not to mention planets any further afield, so it's not too unrealistic to suggest that other species may have run into the same issues we have. Simulating a game is easy for us. And this hypothesis is just like that. A popular argument for the simulation hypothesis came from University of Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003, when he suggested that members of an advanced civilization with enormous computing power might decide to run simulations of their ancestors. They would probably have the ability to run many such simulations, and they are probably controlling us. And that's why we are not able to make contact with organisms with another planet. We are in a large simulation. Very large. Our consciousness is controlled by a supercomputer. It's just like playing a computer game. And maybe, they can delete this game anytime or their children will do it. So these are the biggest known theories. Aliens should be discovered in order to know about different civilizations. Their technologies might help us, but we should be patient. I hope we will soon discover them. Humanity is waiting.